Enabling Technology Trends for Citizen Services. The session chair is Dr. Pramod Kumar, Chairman, Punjab Governance Reforms Commission. Shri Ghanshyam Bansal, Deputy Director General and SIO NIC Haryana. Shri Tanmoy Prasad ji, IT Advisor, Government of Haryana. Shri Vivek Verma ji, Senior Technical Director NIC Chandigarh. Shri T. Koshi ji, Executive Director Advisory Services Ernst & Young. Shri Sanjeev Tyagi ji, Regional Manager Government and Defence, Juniper Networks. Shri Prashant Chaudhary ji, Director Sales, Government North, CA Technologies. Partho Adhikari ji, Deputy Director, NILIT. Now I would like to hand over the mic to the session chair.
When I came in, the session which was on, and the way the presentations were being made and the interactions happened, and I found it was quite educative, innovative, and lots to learn. And then one of our old friends, from Haryana Garden, has very, very interesting comment, and that made me slightly, I got to go. Otherwise, I may have spoken in the end. He said that, and perhaps, he may be right also, he said that it's very difficult to reform Punjab. Punjab is absolutely impossible to be reformed. That's the observation which a friend from there had. And I personally think that that kind of the IT in that sense can definitely help to improve the image, which perhaps Punjab may need it very badly, that they need some kind of IT application to improve their image. But otherwise, I must tell you, the kind of things which are happening in Punjab is almost a kind of revolution, and which I can consider a kind of a different, distinct model which is being adopted in Punjab, not as compared to many other new things that are happening in other states, but I am only talking in terms of the perspective to bring about governance reforms. I think that model is something different and unique. And there, which is relevant to this session also, the fundamental principle which is being followed is how to converge engaged governance with e-governance. The emphasis is not on e-governance, and emphasis on engaged governance. And from there we are moving towards e-governance, application of technology. So technology is almost a kind of become an instrument of the perspective and the framework, the kind of governance you want. And that is why the first assumption which we followed was that here in our systems, there is some kind of a procedural decolonialization was required, which we have not done, we have not looked into. And if I may put it very simply, very straight, that we are playing basketball with kabaddi rules, and you want to apply technology, e-governance on kabaddi rules to play basketball. The rules of the game have changed, but we have the similar kind of rules and the processes we are trying to change, bring in technology, but the procedures, the systems are same as they used to exist earlier. For example, if most of the people from the civil service know their own TA bill, when they file their TA bill, they give 12 declarations. And then one line and the disbursing officer give another affidavit that whatever has been stated is correct. And if you read things which are mentioned in those 12 declarations, half of the people will Kejriwal will send them to jail because he will see that what they have said is almost a corrupt practice. Because one of the declarations you give there that when I was traveling, I hired a car on this road, the public sector transport was not available, therefore I hired a private taxi or something. I mean that declaration, because nobody reads the declaration, only child. So 12 declarations, a senior IAS officer, even Cabinet Secretary of India gives after signing a deal of 30,000 crores for buying drones or something else. And he has to give those affidavits because a clerk does not believe what he says, and I am saying that I travel by this, he should be believed. So the first, process we started amending these small rules. And the first step was taken to remove all the affidavits from day-to-day interaction in the government. Which means 4 basic deficits which we identified in governance was trust deficit, that you don't believe your own citizen. And if I am Pramod Kumar, then I have to tell the district magistrate who will sign that I am Pramod Kumar. And that district magistrate will find another magistrate to sign that he is so-and-so. The state even doesn't believe that he is certifying me, he doesn't believe him also. So there, what we thought, that remove all the systems and processes. And if I apply your technology e-governance system before that, then it's a garbage in, garbage out. You will talk about business re-engineering, you will only re-engineer the business, you will also bring in technology, but you will not change those procedures, processes. And therefore, and the self-declaration and the third-party declarations, for example, even to get a passport, you need, your neighbors, signatures on such and such things. It's only a resident proof by law. If you read the rule book, nowhere it is mentioned that a police officer has to go to your house and then get it signatures from your neighbor. It's a resident proof. And when we took up the matter with the Ministry of External Affairs, now they are saying that okay, we'll amend it, we'll issue the instructions, which are nowhere in the rule book, but still they have to issue the instructions that stop this practice. And we have suggested some other way to go about it. But what the first point I am trying to make is that the rules have become so violated, and the need is somewhere to bring about and change those rules. You cannot play basketball with kabaddi rules. And the second point which I am trying to make, and which we are trying to do in Punjab, is that somewhere the whole policy which is formulated itself is faulty. For example, when you say that most of the people, if you have a welfare scheme, 60% leakage is there, or 80% leakage of people get only 20%. You make a wrong kind of policy, and then you expect the implementation to be right. It cannot be right. And if I may, in the earlier session, which was Mr. Malik very rightly intervened, it was mentioned that they are doing disease profiling, which I find is very good. Because if Government of India gives money, for example, in Punjab we get money for TB. There is a disease, TB. For TB we get lots of money from the central government. In Punjab we have not TB, but we have cancer. Now we generate data to prove that we have TB, because we are getting money central grant, we have to consume that money, we have to give the performance of the state. So now Punjab is suffering from TB but dying of cancer. So you suffer from TB and die of cancer. Now how to go about? Therefore you formulate wrong policy, then expect implementation to be right. So there we got into the policy making. Here comes the role of the data collection. How you collect the data, and once you do this disease profiling, it will definitely correct the data, and it will help us to formulate the right kind of policy. Now, you came up with a policy that the teachers don't go to the school. If I apply IT application, then you will put cameras and do something and all those kind of technology, what you will do. What they did, they appointed Shiksha Karmis from the same village so that he should go to the school in the village. And in Punjab also we did it. And around 60,000 teachers were employed as Shiksha Karmis, and they were paid 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 rupees, whatever. And whenever there is an election, they go to that Batinda tanki, a water tank, and then shout that make us permanent. And what kind of demand they say? First make us do 10+2. After 10+2, give us the training to be teacher, and then make us permanent also. Give us a good grade. You came out with the wrong policy. Why? Because you wanted to do fiscal management. After doing fiscal management, the quality of education in Punjab was number 3 in infrastructure, number 3 in teacher-student ratio, and 26th on quality education. Now Punjab is 28th on quality education when teachers are going to the school. Now, Imagine this is your policy. Then you say, no, what is happening? We have to think about it. So what IT application will do there? Nothing. You have to have first see that there is a quality education crisis. There is not crisis of infrastructure, not teacher-student ratio. So you have to get into, those business. You have appointed an incompetent teacher. Teacher goes to the school, attendance is 100%. Quality has further goes down. So you are non-competitive. Then human resource development takes place somewhere else, and you say we are not getting employment. Then unemployment crisis. So basically, my second point is there is a policy prescription is totally wrong and faulty. For example, you tell a stranger in the scheme and you say that ask his preference, like Kejriwal doing, asking people what is your preference. It's a mobocracy kind of a policy. And you ask that stranger, he says I want to open a Kirana shop. And you give him 60,000 rupees to open a Kirana shop. So a person who is giving it knows it that a stranger, if he opens a Kirana shop, no person will go and buy things from his shop. Because there is a social exclusion which operates. So then he takes 30,000 rupees, he takes 30,000 rupees, both are happy, Kirana shop is not open, everybody is happy. And then you tell him that what you want, he says I want to buy buffaloes. I want to have a dairy. You give him buffaloes, you don't give him buffaloes because he doesn't have a place to stay himself. And then he is given the money, for buffaloes, he takes half the money, you take half the money, legally 60%, wrong policy goes on. Now what will document, you will create data on what IT application will do. You will say no, buffaloes or number will be wanted, something of that sort, they will find out something else over there. So again, basic point again is that you are coming out with a wrong policy. You think one size fits all and then apply technology on it. You put, for example, this Aadhaar card. I told Nandan Nilekani, it's a very great thing you are doing, I'm very happy. And now I am from Motwa, next day I will get 203. And I will be insulted in the police station. Now I will not be insulted, 203 will be insulted. He will not lose dignity. 203 will not have any justice from the government. Pramod Kumar is now vanished because my number is 203, you have given me unique ID number. And how is this unique ID number will help me? Because before that, the need was to bring about these reforms, and after bringing these reforms, that ID becomes very, very useful. This is the only point. I am not saying that you should not have it. You should have, IT. Without IT, perhaps many things you will not be able to do. The only point I am registering is, now, 4 things we prescribed for governance reform. One, that there is a trust deficit in the administration. People don't trust the government doesn't trust the people. Second was dignity deficit. Whenever I go to the police station, I have to keep dignity home because I have got insulted there. Now you are saying that we are doing police station data IT enabled. You can register a complaint there, but I can't enter the police station. Women can't go there because they get insulted, they get humiliated. Now what you have to do there? So you have to bring about those changes in the police administration which can make this IT further applicable. And the third thing was productivity deficit. And the fourth was citizen engagement deficit. So first we met these four deficits, trust, dignity, productivity and citizen engagement. And then we are trying to apply technology, IT application to all these processes. So my only submission here is that if we are thinking of applying IT, please also, simultaneously, which you normally call back-end reforms, in back-end reforms, look into these processes. For example, in the medical, I have found, my researchers tell me that it's a strange, in whole of South, it's only in South Asia, you have the term transfer. And I always wonder, and I kept on thinking, why a doctor has to be transferred from one place to another after 3 years? Why? Why a teacher has to be transferred from one place to another? Why a teacher should not be in his own village? Why a doctor should not be on his own village? If you have a Shiksha Karmi in his own village, but the teacher who is a regular should not be in his own village. And every 3 years you have to transfer people, make good money out of it. So transfer has become an industry. Then you will make e-governance in industry also. This industry should also have an IT application. Rather than getting out of this business of transfer, why have IT applications said that there is no need for transfer? Doctor is posted there, he is posted there. What's the problem? Why doctor has to be transferred? If I can have the right to have my own family doctor, why a poor man cannot have a family doctor? Why he cannot be treated every day there? Why a doctor cannot be there for 20 years, 30 years in the hospital? I fail to understand where. So therefore, what we are trying to do is change these policies also. That change, I mean, why transfer a doctor, a teacher? Policeman, yes. Excise officer, maybe yes. But why a doctor or a policeman? So these are some of the, and only, I mean, before this session, I only thought that I must mention, I mean, these some of the perspective. And in Punjab, we have this governance commission, where we have people, I mean, who are from outside the government looking into these processes. Most of them are academics and also senior civil servants. And for each, I mean, task groups, there is a member secretary of the same department which look into it. And for coordination, which was Mr. Malik was mentioning that how different departments should coordinate, we have created a forum for coordination between different departments so that one department's jurisdiction, if it is also interspersed with other departments, the solution can be found there itself. With these words now, I have taken a little more time, but I'm sorry for that. Because in the end, I think that you will be rushing for lunch. I mean, now it's their time, which will be taking not mine. Thank you very much. Now I request the next speaker, Mr. Chris Koshi.
I would now request Shri Ghanshyam Bansalji to please come and address the audience. Please, can we have a huge round of applause for her?
Good afternoon. The session is about enabling technology trends for citizen services. I will be presenting how these technologies have been implemented in our Haryana eDisha and e-district applications. We have any citizen resident come across about 3 categories of databases. One is that individual resident based service database, which are like birth and death certificates, caste, income, resident domicile, Aadhaar number, school education board, income tax PAN, election voter ID card. From Sarathi's software, it is driving license, passport, and G-Nrega, etc. Second category of databases is intra-family based services databases like PDS, socio-economic caste census database, national population register database, below poverty line household database, and recently know that National Food Security Act 2013 database. Thirdly, there is another category when the family-based services are intra-family and inter-family based, like land records, property registration, vehicle registration. These are some categories wherein that interactions of the individual is even inter-families. Challenges which we have faced while implementation of different applications, eDisha, eDistrict, CSC, and various other citizen-centric schemes in the states, the demographic details of a single individual are varying by various databases of line departments. Various mission mode projects have been found to being implemented in a standalone in silos, and either there is no integration or there are very limited interconnects among these. The documents related to various groups required to avail benefits of a state scheme service deposited by the resident with one authority on one hand, and the e-document which have been issued to a resident as a service delivery are not available to other departments. For acceptance as proofs and verification of the proofs. What we did in eDistrict while developing the eDisha and eDistrict application software and implementation in Haryana pilot eDistrict, we evolved the concept of Shri Wall, State Resident Electronic Wall, which could be a single view of truth for identity and e-services for the states. And this we will be taking forward to our establishing our state resident database. This Sri World or the SRDV which we talk have three kind of data repository. One is we call it Citizen Identity Data Repository, which comes from our SRDH, which is the State Resident Data Hub, coming from the UIDAI. And second is the Citizen Service Data Repository, that when we deliver a service to a citizen, we take some proofs from that citizen. These proofs can be scanned and uploaded into our central service data repository. And on other hand, when we issue a document like a caste certificate to a person, that digitally signed document is again uploaded into this data repository. Since we have very less time, so I will just directly go to the what technology we have implemented in this e-district and e-dishas. First is authentication. We have secured authentication mechanism adopted along with the biometric authentication with a strong password policy. Role-based authorization has been provided that different users will have different kind of authorization. If I am a data entry operator, if I am a verifying authority or a issuing authority, everybody is having a different role. We have a centralized architecture. Our application is hosted at our state data center and it is accessed over SWAN or the broadband from our e-Disha centers across the state. And we have a central registration of citizens, that whenever a citizen wants to take any service from this database, first he is required to register with minimum parameters. If he is not having a UID number, if he is already having a UID number, then that information can be directly imported into the database. Then citizen profiling is being maintained, that whatsoever interaction citizen has made with the government and what services he has received and what documents he has delivered, that is stored in the system. Then issuance of digitally signed documents. The certificates and other documents are digitally signed by the issuing authority, and these documents are stored in the central repository which can be verified by anyone. We have also implemented a QR code inclusion, wherein that is printed on the issued certificate as well as available on the data center, which anybody who is having a smartphone can verify that. Then status tracking is there. Total workflow has been automated, and there is a escalation matrix facility is also there. SLA for each service, like if one certificate is to be issued in one day, it has to be issued. Our government has already fixed these SLAs for 36 services, and there are MIS and dashboard services. SMS and email integration also we have introduced, and mobile application for verification on the Android-based functionality have also been introduced. So I am just coming to conclude. So this is the last slide. This is an evolutionary process. Since 2005, we established first e-Disha center in our Gurgaon district. Since then, we are evolving, and now this concept, as an integrated team, we have taken it to our one state, one project, and I wish at I wish as well. And this is also a first of its kind collaboration that our NIC Haryana, State IT Department, Harton and SCMT are working together as an integrated team. So that's thank you.
Now I request Mr. Tanmoy Prasad to make a presentation. Sir, you will take 5 minutes and 3 minutes you will get to conclude. Okay. So time is a constraint. Good afternoon.
So I'm not prepared any presentation. So it's just I will talk about the emerging technologies which is going to impact us. It's already impacting us in our day-to-day life. The way we use our mobile phones, the smartphones. But what I foresee, the four major trends which will impact the citizen services or citizen service delivery is cloud, mobility, big data, and social networking. There is one more technology like GIS which has been used in many other countries which we have started using now, like in morning session also, like in APDRP, in health projects. There are other projects also we are using GIS now. Now coming back onto the first thing, that is the cloud computing. If we step one step backward and see how we traditionally model our RFP, we go on a complete ownership model of the hardware. So if we take and the specification we put, so if we need one server for one application, we say there should not be a single point of failure. So we add one more. Then we say, okay, for my business continuity, it should be 100% replication. So we add two more. So we are using only one server where we are in fact deploying 4 servers there. Now when we talk about cloud computing, the new trend which is there, we can reduce this and improve the utilization to more than 60 to 70%. Now this is a tremendous cost saving. So when we talk about citizen delivery, cost matters because finally it is the public money. So we have now in Haryana started using cloud computing for our IBIS application, and the another benefit which we are drawing is the agility. The time required to procure a hardware put in there is something around 6 to 8 weeks. Using this technology we can do it in minutes or maybe maximum in hours. And if we want to deploy a new server, it may take few minutes. So deploying new application for new purpose, for new environment, like something in a development environment, something in a testing environment, which is only for some duration, it is much easier to put it in a cloud environment. So the basic crux is moving from the ownership model to the usage model. As an initiative here, we have already started deploying things in cloud environment, and this will be offered in near future to the various departments also. Second thing is primarily on data. Lot of things have been talked in various sessions about data. We are collecting lot of data, and data is growing day to day, every day. How we manage this data in long run, how we interconnect these data, internal collaboration of data within various departments is another aspect which we need to look on. Technologies are there, big data technologies are there, and UIDI has been using big data to manage, I think they have reached 60 crore UID Aadhaar numbers, and they are using big data technologies in a big way to handle these. Now, big data can also be used for personalized citizen experiences. It has been used in US in a big way, even in election campaign in 2012 by Obama, and they knew exactly what the citizen want. We have not been using it here. So we need to use these technologies in coming times to give a personalized feeling to the end users. Now social networking is another upcoming field. Everybody, all of us are using every day. Why can't we have our grievance redressal mechanism through social networking, through Twitters, through Facebooks? We have not thought this. What we are putting is, we are putting a website and a grievance redressal site, everybody coming there, logging in and putting the data. Why can't department start using this social networking sites or build up the social networking sites to deliver this? GIS also, various departments are creating their own data. We need to merge this into a single entity where various departments can collaborate and use. The data which has been created for electricity department can be used by other departments also, but we are not doing that. A policy change may be required. Technologies are there to integrate this and enable us to really deliver these services. I think I have not overshooted my time. This citizen data, which in the big data part, the other aspect also comes up how we integrate the data. Now, defining the data dictionary so that these things can be integrated is one aspect we need to look on, because everybody is capturing data in their own formats. And integrating this data, the exercise which we tried to do here, it was very difficult to correlate the data. So we have to create this data dictionary to really correlate the data so that this can be used for policy and the administration aspects. Even the fraudulent actions of the citizens could be tracked for the policing part. So summing up, one thing which is required is, as a policy thing, to move from the ownership model to the usage model and have more usage of the cloud computing technologies, whether it is infrastructure as a service or platform as a service or software as a service. Second thing is how we integrate our data and how we use the big data technologies to really integrate and manage this data. Third is how we use the GIS and social networking to again integrate the information which is collected from various departments and which can be used by other departments also. Thank you.
We have two speakers from NIC. So we will sum into 15 minutes together.
NIC has already spoken. Ghanshyam has already spoken.
But they have mentioned the list again. So I'm sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Very good afternoon to all of you. I am here to present the state Chandigarh UK administration's perspective from the point of view of enabling technology trends for citizen services. Chandigarh, as you all are aware, is a modern city, 12 by 12 square kilometer, 144 square kilometer of area, and the citizens are very demanding. We have been we initiated with IT policy in 2000, by way of which we had citizens, to deliver the services at the doorsteps for the citizens, and we were able to achieve that objective. In 2013, Chandigarh administration came out with Vision 2020, which is to improve the delivery of public services by leveraging information technology to achieve efficiency, effectiveness, economy, transparency, accountability, and reliability. Now, in Chandigarh, basically, the Sampark centers have been very successful. We have Sampark centers present all across the city. There are around 36 Sampark centers, Gram Sampark centers, and the information kiosks. And these are providing more than 26 services to the citizens. The footfall is at the Sampark centers around 2.5 lakhs per month. And revenue collection and service delivery from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, it has been quite welcome by the citizens, and they have been using this service, and there has been always demand to have more and more services for which we have always been working. This was basically moving from the total kind of a web-based, earlier static information that we were providing. We moved on to dynamic services, and gradually people had to visit those centers. Now we are moving in a direction by way of which people need not come even to those centers. The services to be provided to them from the comfort of their home and place of work, wherever they would like to have the services. list of services 26, and we have many more services in the pipeline. We have the e-district project coming up, through which we will be providing 65 citizen-centric services, and it would be all online services, as a result of which people would be able to avail those services at from their homes only online. Another enabler to provide services is the smart cards. In Chandigarh, we have, the smart card has a benefit that the services can be delivered as it can provide proof of identity. It can also reflect the entitlement details, and also the authentic transaction history can be maintained on the smart card in a very safe and a secure manner. If we can achieve these three things, if we can authentically prove all these three things, then providing a service won't be a problem. And using smart card, we can effectively use these three. We can use the smart cards to provide these services. The authentic application specific data is provided at the place of delivery. From the individual's card, a person can carry a card and avail a service. Service can be delivered after performing online authentication. We can have a biometrics mode of authentication, and the service after being delivered can be safely recorded onto the smart card. PDS application, it's a pilot in Chandigarh which we have implemented. We had around 22 shops running, but now with the NFSA coming into act, and Chandigarh administration is implementing NFSA. So we are in the process of actually shifting over to the NFSA based models, and we are almost in a month or so we will be ready with it, and we will be implementing. But otherwise, the process in the smart card based PDS, it requires like on a smart card you are capturing the biometrics of 3 family members. When they come to the shop, they are verified, the biometrics are verified, and the commodity is given to the intended beneficiary. The pilferage can be checked. There is a voiceover. Illiterate person can come to know, okay, how many kg of rice or wheat is being given, and also the amount that the person has to pay. POS-based device through GPS updates the data of the server. So the complete model, the technology in this, the POS, the smart card, GPS, everything is enabling so as to deliver the services. This is a sample of the smart card, for which we have the individual beneficiary card, we have the card of the fifth price owner and of the department. Another thing, like our secretary ma'am yesterday, she mentioned about the e-wallet. As a smart card application, e-wallet can also be very successful, as the money details can be stored. It can, the program on the smart card provides a mechanism to credit or debit the balance. It can have a authentication process. Money can be credited, debited on the seller's wires card, and both cards can load and unload balance from their bank account. So we haven't as yet started, but we do have plans of having this e-wallet or e-POS facility. I come on to second technology, which is a great enabler, is the mobile base. Through this application, I just want to reflect the status of mobile as a device for municipal corporation application, where we can have actually the complete status. The application is totally, there is no interface as such for a person to check onto the website or somewhere, and he can directly have a look at, he can monitor the status of the grievances. Many grievance applications were started, but we faced issues. But with this mobile base, we can see the status is quite effective, and MC is using it. Another application for mobile base, it's a mobile driven application in which the movement of around 500 garbage bins in Chandigarh to 50 vehicles, it is totally SMS based application. So even a driver is very comfortably, he can send an SMS, okay, I'm lifting this bin and dropping this bin, and the monitoring can be done centrally. One thing, technology of course is an enabler, but the backend processes also need to be supportive of that fact. Through this slide, I just want to reflect that, okay, the Vahan application, transport details, it provides you the complete data in the national register. In the morning, if there is a transaction, by evening, the data is reflected on the national register. And suppose if a person applies for a no objection certificate, by evening, the status is reflected on the national portal. But if a person has to not get the registration done of his vehicle, he still has to wait 21 days, because this data is of no mean to the actual processes. The processes also need to be registered so as to accommodate the technology which is supportive of the Fed. DSC is another tool which is very helpful in authenticating your transactions, and we have been using DSC in Chandigarh for marriage registration process. It is a totally DSC driven process in the sense that the complete workflow of the application at every stage through a DSC it is enabled, it is verified, authenticated, and eventually a authentic certificate with a DSC signature, digital signature is given and can also be downloaded. And also the income certificate, the caste certificate, all those. So standard adaptation is also, the enabler for technology. Local support, like in RL and all, we are using local languages. The skill kiosks we also discussed yesterday. We have started the applications of the department. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Esteemed panelists, everyone there. I just wanted to quickly cover a few of the trends. One is definitely related to security. Towards later part of my presentation, I'll just talk about something which each state is doing, developing a lot of new applications. So something to talk about on the dev job perspective over here. Now, I think just before me, I think there's a lot of discussion about in terms of how strong authentication can also be done, and they were talking about tokens and smart cards and different type of technologies available today. But by just showing this slide, I just want to highlight something that today the problem which again we may face end up down the line is today each application today is going with so much of strong authentication, and they are somewhere still working inside also. If you look at PDS and we talk about state, they themselves are so strongly authenticated and secure. But from a state perspective, end of the day, down the line, you will always like to look at, can I have a single security layer across all the applications which are either being developed right now, or are they already in data centers running over there? Can we have a single security layer irrespective of what the technology is running at the back end? The advantage of doing this is in the long run, maybe the developers which bring in the system integrators, which bring in the application today, don't have to really worry about the security part of it, because the state says they have a framework ready, they have a single security layer ready. With the state, people have to just bring in the application and plug into the security framework which is available. So that is something which we should be looking at from state perspective, and I've been associated with government states for a long time, and I think we have started talking to different and multiple states. A lot of people have said, yeah, somewhere down the line, if this really happens in every state, any citizen which comes to access any applications, once authenticated, he just gets access to whatever he is authorized to. Delegation of power automatically happens. So if a department official comes and wants to access, he has his rights to access any of the application once he gets authenticated to one single framework which maybe a state implements. So this is one maybe a food for thought. I think how do we really move forward and integrate. We definitely spoke about multi-factor authentication today. I think each one of us who have got credit cards, and now each one of the credit card companies have just replaced our credit cards with a smart chip. What they did, not just make it more secure, but I think they just added multi-factor authentication. Unless you now go to any restaurant or you go for doing any shopping, unless you put your PIN number, you will not be able to complete the transaction. So how do we make our citizen-centric applications seamless as well as easy for them to use? And I think one of the comments I heard in the morning that today 90% of the citizens have mobiles with them. So it becomes really easier with soft tokens for any of the citizens to generate a token number on their mobile phone and access any of the applications. So I think these are some of the single secure credentials to access any of the citizen-centric application from a security perspective. I just quickly wanted to move to something, this is something new, and this is something new maybe not from, maybe from a state perspective, but if you look at application teams, or if you look at SIs who have to now come and deliver, whether it is e-district, whether it is PDS, whether it's a new application coming in health department, each one of them are facing a challenge of developing new application within a time frame defined by the particular state, that the implementation of that service have to happen within a couple of months. The challenge today each one of us are facing, that how do we quickly develop, because it's not just about developing that application in isolation, it is also about integrating it with existing system, integrating it with legacy system, doing testing on those applications. The biggest constraint is availability of that environment to anybody to move forward. And then comes the operation part. So today, typically, if you look at and I think somewhere this will happen similarly in each of the states. So if you look at App Store, now where we have moved from 2008 to today, there were 500 applications when they started, and today we are talking about 900,000 applications. There were initially any minimum download, but today we are talking about 50 billion downloads. From the challenge, or each one Apple today is facing, how do they quickly come out with new versions of application? How do they quickly roll out from development to production environment and give it to? And a very similar situation, I think, from state's perspective, when citizens will be looking at faster rollout of new applications, or even new versions, new forms which come for every application, how can we quickly roll out each one of them from there? So typically this is what happens. So I think this is a typical scenario, and I think everybody who works with application understands this scenario. A front user interface but the back end, there is a complex IT environment which supports that front end interface for the citizens. So what typically happens here is the development and the operations completely are siloed today. And even within development part, if you look at, there are challenges. How do we really deal with setting up production environment and setting up? So I'm just focusing quickly on 2 C's of application delivery. One is constraint-free development, and the second one is continuous application delivery. Because if we are able to achieve these two in any environment, I think from application delivery perspective, we will cut down on much of the gaps, and as well as the time frame required to deploy any of the new application environment typically from there. And this is what the challenge we are dealing with. We are dealing with the gaps which are there in between, which are the gray areas, primarily saying how do we reduce the idle time. And why is the idle time coming? Because non-availability of the environment, either to do development, either to do testing, either to do a functional UAT over there. Somewhere there is so much of idle time because of non-availability of IT infrastructure, which causing the delay for applications to be rolled out over there. So typically this is what, if you really look at, somewhere there is a production server not available, somewhere there is a third-party application server not available, there is a network downtown. And how do we really achieve this thing? Is what typically you do. If you look at 2 scenarios, there is a before scenario where dependence on third-party environment is so much that you can't move forward. But if you look at the after scenario, if you look at the after scenario where with service virtualization, and that's the technology trend I wanted to highlight over there, where today I think in India also it's really getting more focus right now, with application environment and application delivery environment, saying with service delivery you can go away with dependence on third party, create virtualized service environment for whatever you want to do, testing, new environment delivery. I think you should be able to achieve that. And just the last slide before I end up. Once the development is done, how do we talk about the release part of it? Can we quickly roll out release of new versions, new forms which are being generated over there, and quickly from days and weeks, can we make a complete automated environment for release of new applications in state? So I think it's somewhere, if you look at the new technologies which are available today to help our system indicators, as well as maybe from if it fits in within the vision of the state, because state will any day will be interested to cut short the time which any of the citizen-centric applications take to be implemented on the field, and so technology can be a great enabler over there. Thank you.
three more speakers. We have Mr. Sanjeev Tyagi, then Mr. Koshki, and then Mr. Tyagi. Thank you.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed panelists. My name is Sanjeev Tyagi, and I am responsible for government and defense business in Juniper. So, topic of my discussion today is how to simplify the networking. So, from yesterday we are talking and hearing from the various presenters. This is our roadmap. This is what we are doing. We are planning to connect more than 123 crore citizens in country spread across 6.5 lakh villages, 2.3 lakh gram panchayat, and we are planning to give all application and services to them, which are G2C, B2C, financial services, education, and utilities. Now the challenge which Pramod sir talked about from the social side, from the political side, same with the challenge which industry vendors like us are facing is how to connect such a vast network, how to ensure that the uptime of such a vast network is available so that all these critical services can be offered without any downtime. The other challenge what industry or which customer are going back to us is how to optimize the cost of deploying such networks, and also how to reduce the cost of managing such networks. Like Mr. Tanmay said, what we can do is we can use cloud-based data centers, social networking, and also he said software as a service. So today it's well known that software as a service is available. So what I'm going to talk subsequently is even network is available as a software as a service. If you look at the building block of creating any network, which constitute the cost of setting up a network and managing that network, is of course your hardware. When we are talking of a critical application, of course, all the officers sitting out here want to make sure that these routers or the networking device should be best of breed and best of the technology available in country as of date. We are not hesitant to pay the premium, but what we want is it should be the best of the technology available today. When you buy a best of the technology, it comes with some extra overhead in terms of the cost of AMC, cost of maintaining these hardware. The third challenge which is coming when we talk about connecting our villages or connecting our panchayat, maybe in Chandigarh or maybe in Delhi, we have a lot of trained manpower available. But if I go maybe 100 kilometers down the line in a village of Sirsa or Cathal, getting an engineer to manage one of the CSC service center, trained resource who can manage this complex networking device is not possible. We have to fly down or we have to move an engineer from the central location to resolve the problem, which means there is a downtime associated with that. Till the time engineer haven't reached there, the center may be down. So you as an officer, government officer, your vision is that you want to give quick and quality services to all the citizens. Wherein we sitting at the other side of the table, the vendors, the operators and the administrators, we are facing 5 broad challenges. So as I said, we are talking of a pan-India connectivity across all our villages, across all panchayat. Now, enforcing a security policy and managing such networks has become a challenge. So I need a console, I need a management station which can manage maybe thousands of nodes simultaneously. So that's a challenge. I already touched base about availability of right skills. I am not getting a right skill at a taluka level or at a block level or maybe even at a district level. Now, when I am talking on this pan-India network, so service providers are not always giving me a wide media. I have to go with any type of media. If you look at any CSCs in any of the state, it's a mix of various media by which it's connected. There are some wide media, there are wireless, there are VSAT. Now the challenge which comes in front of us, that the operator is how to have an integrated console so that I can manage various technologies simultaneously. So these are the challenges that we guys are facing today. Now, needless to say, so Juniper, who is into the manufacture of routers, switch, security devices, firewall and IPS. So when this challenge was thrown to us, Juniper founder, Mr. Pradeep Sandhu, who happens to be the IIT pass out, he along with the industry colleague, he said, we'll work on a solution by which we can optimize the cost of deploying this network, we can reduce the capex, and we can simplify this network. So we as the industry came up with the concept of SDN. So wherein initially in my first slide I said simplified networking. So that's what is the aim of SDN is. In terms of technology, what we are doing in SDN, we stand for software defined networking. We have moved the decision making of the networking devices which is presently scattered across all the different nodes to a central location. And this central location or central device is called as SDN controller. Now, all the intelligence, all the decision making is now being done at the central location. Of course, for redundancy, for local redundancy and geographical redundancy, we have multiple of these boxes. And the nodes, your WAN routers or your switches, they are the dumb devices which are just forwarding the traffic. Is it already 5 minutes? Oh, sorry. So the principle, the four principle of SDN and the benefits that is offering is now the intelligence is being made central. Okay, the various components are being taken out from the hardware. The end node is only forwarding the traffic, so that means you can optimize each network element. If you have a central console, so your management and your policy enforcement and your security policy enforcement become more easy. From a single console you can do that. And you can have mix and match of vendor products. As I said, it works on an open flow standard, which is just open standard. So you can have a controller from one vendor and the node from some different vendor, and they talk seamlessly to each other. The result is a network. In today's scenario, using this technology, we are able to deploy a network which is more efficient, which of course offer high performance and at a much cheaper price. So this is very briefly, this is how we used to do a traditional deployment of a network, wherein you have to connect to each and every node and do your configuration. In case any new policy comes from government and you have to reconfigure such network, it's a nightmare. In the case of SDN enabled networking, everything is centralized. You have a central console from where you can configure and manage your complete network devices, which may be the wired, which may be wireless, which may be security, which may be your services. So to summarize, 4 steps or 4 pillars what we have offered using this technology is centralized management, central console from where you are managing. The services rollout can be done centrally. You don't have to touch upon each and every network node to roll out new service. Your control is centralized, so that means you don't have to send us the skill set required at the branch location or at a CSC center may not be that high level skill. A normal engineer can go or operator can go and resolve the problem out there, and we are able to optimize the cost of hardware and hence cost saving. With that I am finished. Thank you very much.
Now I request Mr. Koshi, and I think that it was assumed that Mr. Koshi will be able to finish in 4 minutes what others would take 8 minutes, depending on his relief. That is why he has been kept at this point. Thank you, Mr. Koshi.
Dignitaries, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. I know that time is of essence and all of you are hungry. So I'll sort of try to make my talk as brief as possible, highlighting only some of the points. As you know that I work in the consulting industry, so I have the opportunity to sort of work with many of the e-governance projects in various states and center as well as some other countries. So till now we heard examples and experience from specific sectors and projects. So I will just highlight some of the thoughts, experiences, learning that I've had from dealing with a variety of projects across a variety of cultures. I'm highlighting only some of the managerial issues on that. I'm not going much detail so that I can meet with the challenge put forward by the chairman of the board. Governance is about policy making, policy administration and service delivery. And it is in the service delivery that we bring in partners. The reason very often is that people who are very familiar with policy making and administration often are not very strong in service delivery. It's very difficult for a policeman to say, can I serve you? It is not possible, but not so easy. So that's why we try to bring partners. And even when we bring partners, we have to treat them as partners. It's two parts. It has to be a win-win business model. And we cannot have, very often, what I've seen in the failures of many of the e-governance projects wherein partners have brought in, is that we give them cookie-cutter business models, which may be what is relevant. We can't make, sitting in Delhi, decide what is a business model that is relevant to a small town in Haryana or in Punjab. So you need to develop and refine and fine-tune the business model if this partners has to become successful. Otherwise, they will find short circuit and the service delivery will fail. And it is, to begin with, and it may also have to be tuned and tweaked as the time goes by. A classic example, it's not in a slightly different, if you go to a village, the business, the guy who does a pan business or whatever it is, he needs working capital. Today he buys at 1%, he gets at 1% a day, which is like 200-300%. Can you imagine that an institution set up with all the infrastructure cost, everything, and give him at 10%? If he fails to do 10%, he says it's exploitation. Probably he's charging 36%. Even our credit card is charged as 36%. So it becomes exploitation, having the skill. But what is the option for the user? 200%, 300% a year. So this is something that sometimes we become very holier than thou attitude and develop business models that cannot work. Second is that you build up SLAs, which is very good. That is the only way we can expect service. But when we build up SLAs, and also for him to deliver those services, he needs certain supports, approval, clearances, everything from the government side. It's a partnership. So what we often see is that only partnership one side work. Whatever delays, costs, approvals, delays, probably he would have given a code which was 2 years ago, by which everything has gone, and because of all the permissions approval, it has taken 3 years for it to be approved, and you expect him to work on the same thing. He will try to cheat you, he will short circuit, because at the end of it, he is here for a business. If we are able to understand, appreciate, and appreciate the fact that the business is for profit, and a reasonable profit is accepted, and then if we insist on service delivery and its strict penal condition, we can't give him monopoly there. There should be a way in which he is incentivized to give service. Otherwise, he will become another what you call a kikidar. So that's one point. I'll just highlight only 2 or 3 of them. Second is, whenever we design, we heard many of the futuristic design. Tanmoy said something, that is coming up. It could be cloud, it could be social network. The moment we think about when you're sitting and designing the solution, some other people say, oh, these are very futuristic. We don't have connectivity, we don't have electricity, bandwidth is not there, which is all true. But the thing is, are you developing a foundation which is going to take into account in the coming years this? Today you will not be able to make use of all of them. For example, simple income. Country has invested so much to sort of do an Aadhaar. Aadhaar is there everywhere, it is not. But it is important that in each of our application, when you are developing the new application, build in provision for using of Aadhaar. You will not be able to use it today. But if you say that it is not there, so we will design it when it comes, then you are redesigning all over again. Each of this element is like that. Even if you're talking about a mobile application, pad. Oh, and our rural people don't have pad, which is very true. But we are working towards them, giving them connectivity and giving them cheaper access devices. If you are going to do that, make your applications capable of that. Okay, so that is why designed to exploit emerging trends, at the same time provide for ground realities. Which is like, for example, today, the concept of a CSE or a VLS is providing for ground reality because everybody do not have access to computers, and there are many places where we need to do. Next, I would like to just highlight on the solution architecture. So, some people are already very clearly explained about the business process reengineering. And just highlight one slightly different dimension of the same thing. Many of us use Apple, many of us seen the iPod and the Apple computer, Apple phone and everything. Was he the inventor of any of this? He wasn't. What he really made, one of his biggest factors of success is the user interface that he designed. The user interface which would get acceptance. The user interface that made intuitive adoption of these things. And this is something which is critical in any application, which is something that we give the least amount of importance. And that itself, choice architecture itself is a scientific thing. But very often when we decide our solutions, services, etc., we forget about the right way to influence choice. In fact, in government service delivery, it should also be a way in which the way you provide the interface could also affect the way the person makes a choice. If we decide there are certain positive choices that the consumer, the citizen have to use, there should be a way of encouraging him to choose. I was reading somewhere, and these behavioral things has a humongous impact. I was reading somewhere that in UP when the election came, the election commission said all elephants should be covered by because it is a political party symbol. The very interesting thing I read is by covering it, you are making it more highlighted. Because whenever you see hundreds of the elephants there, we just ignore it. But the moment somebody goes and covers it all over, it is giving a cue. Please, what is underneath? It's the elephant. So that is the next point I want to just highlight on is the respect of data. In a large number of e-governance applications I've seen is that is the last thing that gets respected. We get fantastic, and the senior people are involved in design. People are involved in the process flow. But cleaning up the data is a time-consuming affair. It takes time, and that is left to the junior-most officer and whoever. Recently, I'm just giving two examples. Recently, one of the major ICT enablement funded by the central government, made available, including Haryana, many of them in the states. So I had the opportunity to just pick up some sample data. It's one of the very critical applications. Sample data from 2 states and from few number of districts. 95% of the data is junk. When we sat together, took it and sat with the officers, including even the names are written ASDFA, and we say that we have so much of data in there. If we do not have good quality of data, we will not be able to do anything with it. So that is something on which enormous effort has to be put in. Whether the validation, continuous review, incentive, disincentive, and most importantly with the technology that is coming, if we can bring in mechanism for the people who see the data, use the data at that point of time to enter the data in a convenient fashion, the chance of it is the moment you send it to one data entry operator which is supervised in some other fashion, it doesn't get caught. So that is where some of the emerging techs of mobile applications, whether it is through SMS, whether it is through TAM, etc., can significantly change. And the last point I will just highlight. I heard your bell. Okay, is that somebody actually referred to it briefly. Is that anytime when you make a policy change, if it is being affected by 100 people. Let's say out of which 20 people have a negative impact and 80 people have positive impact. None of them 80 will come and say thank you. But out of 20, 19 will come and say, you screwed it up. And most unfortunately, one of the problems that the senior officers will feel that out of the 20, one will be a minister's nephew. Then what system are you making? So you have so many, so you end up making dukes and queens and change everything and you mess up in business. So that is why we should have a very systematic method for any such initiative, whether it is eHaryana or it's not having a periodic evaluation with a very clear framework and publish that. And then take executive decisions and not based on anecdotal evidence. And with this, I would like to just sort of, these are the only 3 points I will make, and I just wanted you to sort of share, share a very interesting quote which I said. That's why I'm very true believer of the computerization. Part of inhumanity of the computer system is that once it is completely programmed and working smoothly, it is completely honest. Thank you.
Our last speaker, we have already exceeded the time. Sir, you can take as much time as you want.
So I suppose that was a bell being sounded in a veiled manner. Standing between you and the large is already a very bad idea. Well, the job has been made easier by all the eminent speakers who have been here prior to me. So I don't have much of it to say, and I won't make it too long, just to make it short and sweet. I'll start off with something very basic, that is the e-governance evaluation model we should look at. This is not a capacity building course. We have the enablers and the transformers. And why I am telling you this, why I have brought this particular slide in front is how we can use these enablers, the transformers, in our day-to-day life in providing a better solution for delivering of services to the citizen. How technology can act as an enabler, how technology can act as a transformer for delivering a better service to the citizen. For that, we have this enabler. Now, as Mr. Koshi had said that he was referring to Steve Jobs, one of the presentation, that why the user interface of Apple was designed and what was the thought process, the philosophy behind it. In fact, while designing a website for the public at large, it has to be, it has to cater to the very basic information that any Tom, Dick and Harry or any layman can understand. That is the very basic thing. I mean, we can make a very jazzy website, but then that does not cater to the need of the hour. So a website that can give the basic information in order to provide the public with access to the information. Now, the second point is interactive. How interactive it is. I have my website. I have put up a website. I have done kind of an inauguration and things like that with very much fanfare. But then, does it allow the public at large or the citizens for whom it is intended to interact with that? Unless and until there is an interactive part of it, I don't think so. It will be any success. Users should be able to contact the agencies, to the delivery departments with whom they want to, and unless and until they are able to do so, I think it will just not simply succeed. Transaction, yes. Now, most of you, I suppose rather all of you must have heard about the e-biz thing, where I mean, if I want to go up and start off with a business, then I have to interact with something around between 26 to 29 departments, make payments to all these various departments. What I do is I end up making individual payments to each and every department. So the transaction part. Now along with transaction, I'll just club up the transformation part. Presently, we don't have any kind of a system where we can club up all these 26 various modes of payments that we need to do, or the 29 various payments that we need to do. We club it, have one single payment gateway. So the customer or the citizen or the business houses who is intending to start off with a business selects all the various payments that he or she has to make, or the house has to make. That gets consolidated, goes out through the payment gateway channel. The individual concerned departments get their notification, and we bring in the mobile technology in between, and the house who is making the payment also gets the acknowledgement that okay, these payments have been made and this is the acknowledgement receipts and things like that. So along with the transactional element, we should also bring in the transformational element, which some of our speakers had already mentioned, that there should be an element of business process re-engineering or the government process re-engineering built into delivering of a better service to the citizens. This is the Gartner, what we just spoke in a different way. I won't take much time, I'll just move on to the next. Now, while talking about technology, I think ePraman, the National E-Authentication Framework, does provide with a very good thing, that is a single sign-on. I remember it was, I think, some 8 years back when Oracle had come up with Oracle 9.9, and I was working with it. They had brought in this concept of single sign-on. So we were doing this project for one of the major hospitals of Delhi, and we had to install the database separate, the application layer separate, and the user interface on different machines. So there I first came across this concept of single sign-on. At that point of time, it was quite difficult for me to understand and to assimilate what is the single sign-on. But today, after all these years, I have worked with quite a few softwares. But today, I can really appreciate how single sign-on can be such a beautiful thing as far as providing authentication to a citizen, a very simple citizen who is the last mile citizen residing in one of the remote villages of this country, and where CAC is providing some kind of a support. He or she just signs in for one single purpose, access the service from a particular department. Now, while accessing this service from a particular department, at the very first instance, his or her credentials gets validated, gets authenticated. And from that point onward, the going gets smooth. Because he has already been validated, he has already been authenticated. So he is now able to access information from first, second, third department, any number of departments that he or she wants to access the information. So that is why I have specifically brought in this, because this National E-Authentication Framework, within its own purview, I think it's bringing quite a few things. Mobile also it is trying to bring in, and as it has been pointed out about the cloud. So coming on to this next slide, I have just categorized few things like accessing the procedures, which is acting as an enabler service. I'll just take another minute. I'll just take another minute. Accessing procedures as enabling service forms. Here, authentication framework can come into play. We can have Aadhaar integration, which is we can have biometric, and which anyway includes the biometric integration. Just those three numbers, last three numbers, or those 12 digits. It's not really possible for everybody to remember all those 12 digits. Submission of forms. That is again, how latest software technologies, Java technology, or for that matter, Microsoft-based technology, how they can really help in submitting forms in a much more seamless manner, without any delay factor in it. Payment gateway services, rather than having those payment gateway services functioning in a silo mode, if we can have a consolidated payment gateway services, it can really help the citizen who intends to access some kind of a service. Single VIS, which I just now discussed, that is the eVIS thing. Then the various category of services, anyway we all know, elimination of services, which yesterday and today also Sri Rajesh Agarwalji had mentioned in one of his talks. E-repositories, again this has been talked about, that is storage of locating all my e-certificates, all the certificates, digital signed certificates at a singular place. Maybe the state might have some kind of a policy to maintain its continuity or validating it over a period of time. Meghraj, as you know, has recently been launched, and the services, whether it is, we used to know about those three services: infrastructure, platform, and software. The fourth aspect to it, the fourth dimension, is storage as a service. So we can use this Meghraj, or the Government of India Cloud can come in a much better way, where we can also use the rapid replication method, or rather than reinventing the wheel for a particular service, whereas it has already been developed, some kind of software has already been developed, I mean, those softwares can be put up, can be clubbed up in a cloud, and then it can be used. And last but not the least, the mobile governance, which is anyways the talk of the time. And quite a few of the places they are using it. Sugarcane Information System by Uttar Pradesh did a major thing with mobile governance. Not exactly mobile governance, but using the concept of mobile governance, using the concept of mobility, how they have really helped the farmers and weeding out corruption to a certain extent. So I think with that, I thank the organizers for giving me this time to stand in front and speak. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Friends, I must say, in such a short span, such a fast-track delivery of knowledge has happened. Most of the speaker has delivered knowledge on a fast-track mode, and that is the beauty of technology and also, I mean, the excellence these people have acquired in their own field. Now, I was told that there is going to be an interaction session. It is your lunch time. Take as much time as you want. Ask as many questions as you want. I am quite open to it. And before opening the session, only 3 points. I mean, very quickly, very briefly, again on the fast track mode. One that, as Churchill once said, he said that we have to do the right things, having exhausted all other possibilities. And in technology, what is happening is we are trying to exhaust all other possibilities before arriving the whole question of convergence. First, we are creating, I mean, each disintegrating the whole thing, and then we want to converge. And this, I think, the wisdom which Churchill gave us, it takes little time, I mean, to percolate down. But in most of the presentation, they did mention about some of the technology through which we can converge. And the second issue, I mean, which has been very validly raised, and which Mr. Mali coming in the morning mentioned, the whole question of integration. And there I am reminded that most of these segmented departments, if you keep them segmented, you only produce tunnel vision. And you have to now get out of that tunnel vision, ownership of the department, and move towards, as some of the speakers mentioned about the cloud technology and other things, I mean, so that some integration should happen, and the boundaries of the department, even if they get little more porous, it may help us to give better services, I mean, to the people. And the third, I mean, point which on the delivery of services, earlier it used to happen, I mean, in between the single window and multiple visits. So you open single windows and people were giving multiple visits. So they will keep coming again and again. Now we have at least graduated from there. Now we have a single window and one time, I mean, delivery of services, and most of the people have mentioned there, I mean, how to integrate these. And only 3, I mean, related issues I would like to mention, I mean, for people who are involved in the service and delivery. One, that there has to be some kind of a discretion reduction, procedural change and e-governance. That how you can reduce the discretion which is there, I mean, available at different levels, and also simultaneously introducing accountability. Even if it may not be efficient, but let it be accountable. Because in India we have only one thing with us, time. Maybe that after 20 years we may not have the time also, but today we have, the citizens have lots of time, I mean, to do. But the accountability is the basic component which is missing. And we have to bring about procedural change and e-governance to introduce accountability. And the second is incentive compatible procedural changes and e-governance. That at different levels, you should build in different incentives to bring about procedural change. For example, I mean, I just remember, for birth certificates, we have introduced, given these powers made by A&M, she has been made the director, and she can issue the birth certificate there and itself. I mean, rather than going to the CMOs or chokidars and all that. Now A&M has been empowered to issue the certificates in the village itself. That is, and also, I mean, through that we have to have e-governance which can help us to bring in transparency and also accountability of this A&M. That has to be done. And the third, I mean, I thought the disaggregate delivery mechanisms. And disaggregate delivery mechanisms should not, I mean, be seen as integrating there, but we have to disaggregate. For example, a driving license, I mean, learner's driving lessons, we have given the powers to the college principals to issue the learner's driving licenses with after some tests which we have introduced. And then the RCs can be issued by the dealers, and the fitness certificates, rather than DTO gives it, he doesn't understand even that technology, but he issues the fitness certificate even for the Mercedes. He may not have seen the Mercedes from where it has come about. So there again, we have introduced somewhere that if Mercedes company say that this car is fit, accept it, why you have to get a certificate from the DTO? So I think all these kind of principles, if you involve in delivery of services, I think that will certainly help the citizen. Now it's open for question, answer, or observations. Thank you. If people are hungry, we can break now, rather than having question answer, because there is no coming up.
Thank you so much, sir, for summarizing the session so elaboratively. And I also would like to thank all the dignitaries on the dais for being so informative. Although I don't know who was ringing the bell. So to present the token of appreciation to all the dignitaries, I would like to request Shri Dr. Pramod Kumarji. Can we have the shawls and the mementos, please? Sir, please. Starting from Shri G.S. Bansalji, Deputy Director General. Shri Bansalji.
आपको सबको देनी है, आपको सबको देनी है, आपको नहीं दे रही है।
Can we have a huge round of applause? Shri Tanmoy Prasad ji. Shri Vivek Verma ji. Now to Shri Prashant Chaudhary ji. Sir, here. Shri Sanjeev Tyagi ji. Shri D. Koshidi ji. Now to Shri Partha ji. And now I would like to request Shri Tanmoy Prasad ji to felicitate Dr. Pramod Kumar ji. Thank you so much, sir, for being so polite and managing the session. Can we have a group photograph now of all the dignitaries? I know you must be very hungry now, but please bear with us for a few minutes.